What real criminal case inspired the character of Eddie Munson, and what does 11 have in common with Luke Skywalker? Keep watching for Easter eggs you might have missed in Season 4, Volume 2 of Stranger Things, but beware, there are spoilers ahead. When speaking with Netflix's Tadam, the Duffer brothers hinted at the fact that Eddie Munson is inspired by a specific person who is a Dungeons & Dragons fanatic and metalhead, just like Eddie. A tweet from Netflix Geeked confirmed that Eddie Munson is loosely based on West Memphis 3-member Damien Eccles. A writer and artist these days, Eccles was one of 3 teenagers convicted under highly dubious circumstances of the 1993 murders of Steve Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers, in what the media considered at the time to be satanic rituals. Eccles had a tendency for dressing in black and listening to heavy metal, which led the community to ostracize him and believe he conducted spiritual practices with ties to witchcraft and Satanism. In an interview about Season 4, Ross Duffer said, "Something we really wanted to get into this year was the Satanic Panic. The term Satanic Panic refers to a period in the 80s and 90s when society began blaming its various ills on the influence of heavy metal music and fantastical imagery from escapist entertainment like Dungeons & Dragons. Advocates of the Satanic Panic were specifically concerned about supposed Satanists harming and sacrificing small children.
There's a widely held opinion that what happened at the daycare was the devil's handiwork."
The West Memphis 3 were released from prison in 2011. Eccles went on to become a New York Times best-selling author and produced a documentary about his experience. When describing the character of Eddie, Matt Duffer said, "What's sad about his narrative is that the people who get to know him love him, and the people who don't have judged him horribly." It's no secret that the creators of Stranger Things love to pay respect to horror classics, with the numerous references they sprinkle throughout the series, and Season 4 is no different. At one point, Joyce and Hopper come across a Russian lab of tanks filled with demogorgons for experimentation, and the scene is almost identical to one in Alien Resurrection, a 1997 movie that, just like Stranger Things, co-stars Winona Ryder. However, the Duffer brothers didn't stop there. There are several other nods to the Alien film franchise throughout the season, such as Paul Reiser's use of the word kiddo. Burke, Reiser's character in Aliens, also makes frequent use of the patronizing nickname. References to the Stephen King horror classic Carrie appear throughout the season as well, like when Elle gets bullied in front of her whole school and when Max's happy memory of the winter ball is ruined by blood-filled balloons. The Duffer brothers have confirmed that when planning the season, they focused a lot on A Nightmare on Elm Street, Hellraiser, and the It miniseries. They also said they modeled Vecna after Pinhead from Hellraiser.
It's time.
And of course, Robert Englund plays Henry's father, Victor Creel, which means Vecna's dad is pretty much Freddy Krueger. Those final 2 episodes of Volume 2 are extremely action-packed, but did you notice a familiar weapon amid all the chaos? As revealed by David Harbour on his personal Instagram page, the sword used by Hopper to slay the Demogorgon in the final episode is actually the same Atlantean sword famously used by Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Conan the Barbarian films. Harbour describes the prop as both, quote, heavy as hell and a tremendous honor to wield. Fans also pointed out some foreshadowing to this epic sword battle that came in the first episode of Season 4. When we get a glimpse of Mike's bedroom, a poster for Conan the Barbarian can be seen hanging on his wall. This tiny Easter egg probably wouldn't have meant anything to you prior to the finale episode with Hopper. Schwarzenegger himself actually admitted to still owning the legendary sword and keeping it in his office. When asked if he still had the sword back in 2010, the actor and one-time governor of California confirmed that he, in fact, did. Eddie plays a vital role in the final moments of the fight with Vecna by sacrificing himself for the greater good. In what is definitely the most metal concert in the history of the Upside Down, Eddie shreds to Metallica in order to distract the Demobats. The song Eddie performs, Master of Puppets, is of clear significance. Given the way Vecna tends to toy with his victims by forcing them to relive their worst fears and traumas, Vecna is basically a metaphorical master of puppets. Metallica actually reposted the clip on their Instagram page, praising the show for how well they incorporated the song. They admit to being blown away by the final product, writing, "Some folks were able to guess the song just by seeing a few seconds of Joseph Quinn's hands in the trailer. Eddie's fate sadly seemed to be written in stone from his first appearance. If you look closely at Eddie's arms, you'll see a tattoo of bats, as well as another tattoo of a hand controlling a puppet on strings, direct connections to the circumstances of his inevitable death."
I didn't run away this time, right?
The Duffer brothers sat down with Collider and revealed that they had taken a lot of inspiration from the Star Wars franchise. Matt Duffer said, "We have always wanted to do an Empire Strikes Back ending. We tried to do that with Season 4, where it's the sense of loss. Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, is known for its shocking ending where the bad guys more or less prevail. Sadly, Vecna likewise kind of prevails when the Upside Down leaks into the real world of Hawkins, Indiana. There's also a similarity between 11 and Luke Skywalker. Both characters abandon extensive training sessions against their mentor's wishes in order to help their friends. In Luke's case, his decision leads to the loss of his hand and Han Solo being taken prisoner. At 11's, her attempt to intervene in Vecna's plans leads to Max's coma, blinding, and possible paralysis. But one must not overlook the moment when Murray utters one of the most famous lines from the entire Star Wars franchise.
I got a bad feeling about this.
There's no denying that Tom Cruise was an 80s heartthrob following his roles in Risky Business and Top Gun. It's safe to say that Cruise had a dedicated fan base back in the day, and Nancy Wheeler was most definitely a member. Not only does Nancy have a Tom Cruise poster stuck on her wall as of the very first season and mentions him on several occasions, she and Steve actually dress up as Risky Business characters for Halloween back in Season 2. Robin briefly teases Nancy about her poster, which still hangs on her wall in Season 4.
You have a Tom Cruise poster. That's old.
A Reddit user also pointed out the visual similarities between Steve from Stranger Things and Steve from The Outsiders, played by Cruise. Clearly, Nancy has a type, and we can't blame her. When the gang gets together to plan their attack on Vecna, they decide to stock up on weapons at a store called the War Zone. When Eddie points out an advertisement for the place, we see the company's logo takes clear inspiration from the Top Gun logo. Mason Dye, who portrays the unhinged jock Jason, did an interview with the Steve Varley Show and explained that Tom Cruise was the main inspiration behind his character. He said, "I sat down with the Duffer brothers and producer Sean Levy, and they were like, okay, Jason is just Tom Cruise from his 80s movies. So I just went back and watched Risky Business, Top Gun, like all his 80 movies a week prior to filming." In the final episodes of the season, viewers learn that there is a large significance surrounding the number 4. Not only does a clock chime 4 times whenever Vecna is about to claim another victim, but he also requires exactly 4 victims to enact his plan. In order for the Upside Down to break through to the regular dimension, Vecna needs to create 4 portals, which ultimately results in the 4 cracks seen in the final scenes of the season. While all of this is explicitly explained throughout the series, there are some additional references that aren't as noticeable. The main characters are all split into 4 distinct groups: the Hellfire Gang in Hawkins, Elle and Papa in the training facility, Hopper and Joyce in Russia, and Will and Company in California. It makes this the first season where characters fight the main antagonists simultaneously from different locations across the globe and other sides of the dimensional barrier. If you were so inclined, you could theorize that the importance of the number 4 could relate to the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, though we can only hope more explanations unfold next season. One of the best parts about Stranger Things is dissecting the countless Easter eggs and background details scattered throughout. For example, while the Hawkins group scrambles to find music to bring Nancy back from Vecna's mindscape, we catch a glimpse of Eddie's bedroom. If you look closely, his walls are packed with posters from various heavy metal bands ranging from Iron Maiden, Anthrax, Judas Priest, Slayer, and Creator, proving he is a true metalhead.
Music! We need music! This is music!
An example of subtle symbolism occurs during the moments of Brenner's death in the desert. As a camera pans over him, he can be seen in a crucifix pose, most likely mirroring the Christ-like way in which he viewed himself. However, the camera then flips the image upside down in order to evoke the evil that Brenner truly created by bringing Vecna into this world. When the Hawkins kids go to the War Zone to stock up on weapons, they quickly pass by a bulletin board covered with wanted posters for all the members of the Hellfire Club, showing that most of the town had succumbed to satanic panic by this point. During the same visit, Robin catches a glimpse of her school crush Vicky, who is sadly getting cozy with some guy. Meanwhile, there are uncanny similarities between Vicky's wardrobe and the look of Molly Ringwald's character in 16 Candles, which would have been released about 3 years earlier, which could imply that Vicky is a John Hughes fan. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite movies and TV shows are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.